welcome to Arobs Transylvania Software preliminary 2023 results call. Last week on February 28th, we have published our preliminary 2023 report, which you can find on our website in Investor Relations section, as well as on BVB's website, Arobs Investor Profile. During today's call, we will present the key highlights from 2023, as well as answer any questions that you might have related to our performance last year. Before we begin, I would like to mention that this call is being recorded and that the recording of the call will be uploaded on our website later this week. As stated in the call invite, you automatically and implicitly consented to being recorded by joining this call. If you do not consent to being recorded, please leave the call. My name is Zuzanna Kurek and I'm Investor Relations Manager at Arobs, and I will moderate today's call. I am joined today by Wojciech Opran, Chairman of the Board and CEO of Arobs, and Bogdan Ciugradi, CFO of Arobs. Together, we will present the key data as well as answer to your questions. In terms of the organizational aspects, we will follow our standard call setup, which means that the management will deliver a presentation outlining the preliminary 2023 results, and later we'll have a Q&A session. Please note that all the participants are put on mute. If you would like to ask a question, please type it in the chat box. Feel free to do so during the call, and we'll answer all of the questions in chronological order as soon as the presentation of the management is over. I would like to mention that Arobs has not yet released the 2024 budget. This will take place in the coming weeks. Therefore, we will not be commenting or answering to any of your questions related to 2024 budget. Consequently, we kindly ask you to refrain from putting such questions forward during this call because the management will not be able to answer to those. Last but not least, even though I mentioned we will not be discussing the 2024 budget, I would like to mention that we might be making forward-looking statements today during this call regarding the future performance of Arobs Transylvania Software and that actual results may differ materially. We encourage you to review the disclaimer that we have included in this presentation, which you can now see on your screen. The disclaimer applies equally to all the statements made in today's call. Thank you for your patience. We are now ready to kick off the call. I would like to invite Wojciech Opran to share introductory remarks. Wojciech, you are on mute, so if you can please unmute and we can go ahead with the call. Thank you.
Yes, hello everyone. I would like to share with you and start abruptly with the navigating in the turbulent tech industry, and where we saw this year, actually the 2023, optimization and pressure on the company's profitability indicators. We have continued to grow, both organic and unorganic, despite these adversities, and also you will see in the result. We also, on the second pillar, I would like to mention that integration of the company that we bought in the last 2.5 years, it's under our main interest, and we are working effectively to integrate those companies and bring them also to the group level. Also, end of August, or during August 2023, we were included in MSCI Frontier Market and also Small Cap Index. And as of March this year, we were also included in FTSE Global Micro Cap Index. So that's a good news, and our next target is to enter into the BET Index. So far last year, we fulfill our promises to our shareholders to transfer Arobs shares to the main market of BVB. So those are the key indicators for this year, for last year actually. And I would like also to underline that we are one of the few companies that actually shows both profitability and growth in such a terms. And you will see in the future, in the next slide, that the turnover increased with 43%, compared with 2022 to 427.7 million. Actually, the normalized EBITDA increased with 22% to 92.7 million RON. And the normalized net profit was slightly similar, I would say, with 2022. Profit before tax reached 43.7 million, 10% margin, and net profit 32.6 million, 8% margin. So together with the EBITDA and turnover, we respect our promise to the investor that we exceed the Rule of 40. Only with the turnover and the profitability, we are able to prove that indicator, which is kind of a sign of a growing company. And of course, we also add turnover, but we were able to keep the profitability. That's the, I would say, preliminary key indicators that are important for our investors. And those are unaudited according to IFRS standards. But of course, that were supervised by our auditors, and roughly I can say we cannot expect too big changes. So that's for now. I will be more than happy to answer any of the question, and I will let Bogdan to continue with some details.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our investors call. I will present the preliminary results. They are prepared in accordance with IFRS. I would like to mention that the quarterly reports were prepared under the statutory standards. It's a rule which was allowed by the stock exchange for the transition from the aero market to the main market. As Voicu mentioned, the revenues grew about 43%, which is very solid. About 72% of the revenues were brought by the organic business, meaning the group as it was the 1st of January 2022, and the companies acquired and who entered the group during 22 and 23, they delivered about 26% of the turnover. Also, this year we saw a new segment, which is integrated systems, which are also contributing with 12 million to the revenues. Here, there is a difference between the statutory reporting and IFRS. According to IFRS, in case you are acting as agent, you only are allowed to recognize your margin. So compared with the statutory results, in this case, we have an adjustment both on the revenues and cost sides of 21.8 million, but with a zero impact on gross profit. In terms of margin by segments, we see some erosion on the software services. The margin dropped from 36% to 25%, and we will see in the coming slides the details of this erosion. So can you go back 1 second, please? Software products keep the same solid gross margin, over 50%. And also on the integrated systems, we see a margin of 18%. Again, this margin is calculated for the revenues generated directly by the companies, but also with the margin on the sales where we acted as agent. In terms of normalized EBITDA, we see also a significant growth, about 22% compared with 2022. We were around 93 million, almost 93 million RON, normalized EBITDA with 51.7 normalized net profit. The normalization was done as we did each and every quarter and last year when we reported, by taking out the non-cash expense, which is the ESOP. These share option programs, which are 3 as of today, they were fueled from the 40 million treasury shares transferred by Mr. Opran at nominal value before the listing of the company. Here we added some more visibility on this share options program. The first one has started in 2021, just around the listing on Aero Market, with a vesting period of up to 2 years. The number of shares in this program was 4.8 million. The second one started in 2022, September, with again 2 years vesting period, 14.3 million shares. And the last one was implemented April last year, and with the maturity up to mid-April 2025, around 20.7 million shares, in total 39.9 million shares, which is almost the full number of shares transferred by Mr. Opran. Looking at the turnover and the contribution of each segment, software services continued to be the main one, with 81% contribution. The increase in software services turnover was around 105 million RON, 44% increase, a bit bigger than the overall group performance. Out of that, the newly acquired companies, what we call M&A part, brought an increase of almost 68 million RON. So more than half of the growth was fueled by the revenues brought by the new companies. On the software products, we see again a solid growth of 20%, and almost 12 million RON, and more than half of it was coming again from the M&A part. Integrated systems, normalized and adjusted according to IFRS, contributed to 3% of the total turnover. Looking at the software services performance, we have an increase in revenues of 44%, but on the cost side of 57%. The cost of sales for software services is mainly include the salaries and the benefits, including the share options program, but also the third-party services related to software projects, depreciation, and one new element, which is the customer relationship amortization for the companies acquired. After any company acquisition, we do the purchase price allocation, and in case we identify intangible assets such as software or client relationship, we recognize them separately in the balance sheet, and we amortize them over a 10 years period. From the increase of 94 million RON in the cost of... Can you go back? From the 94 million increase in the cost of sales, 83 it's coming from the cost of the increase in the cost of salaries, while the difference is the other significant increase is coming from the ESOP, 6.1 million increase, and customer relationship amortization of 3.7 million. From the cost of salaries, the newly acquired companies have a share in cost of salaries of 36%, while in terms of revenues they generate, they are at 30% of the software services revenues. Product performance, very strong, very solid, very good margin over 50%. Most of it is organic, but with a 9% coming from the M&A. And the acquired companies also contributed to the cost of sales with 6.2 million RON. Integrated systems, as I mentioned, the revenues are adjusted according to the IFRS. So we only see 12 million, with 21.8 million less than in the statutory accounts, but still with the same nominal value for the gross profit. And of course, the margin is higher because is divided by a lower revenue amount. Sales and marketing and G&A. Sales and marketing expense, it also comprise the cost of our internal resources, salaries and benefits, but also advertising and publicity expenses and third-party services related to promotional activities. They increase with about 5.9 million compared with 2022, out of which 3.6 is coming from the newly acquired companies. General and admin expenses, they increased from 41.5 million to 62.9. They cover the salaries of the management and admin functions, also third-party consulting expenses, all the expenses related to the general administration of the group, but also with all the BVB, all the costs related to compliance with the BVB requirements. Looking at the balance sheet, we see also a very solid balance sheet. On the asset side, there is an increase in goodwill coming from the companies acquired during 2023. The difference between the purchase price and the identified assets and liabilities, it's accounting as goodwill. Goodwill is not amortized according to IFRS, but at the end of each year, it is tested for impairment. The test we've run didn't indicate any impairment needed to goodwill value. Also, during the year 2023, we took some bank loans in order to refinance part of the acquisition of Future Workforce in the group. Still, our debt ratio, it's even stronger than 1 year before. It's below 1. It's 0.94, showing that we are able to raise additional finances if needed in order to fulfill the development plans and our activities. Also, during the period, it may be seen that there is a positive effect from the share options program because they were being acquired at nominal value. The impact of the difference between the market value and the nominal value for the shares that were already transferred according to the first 2 programs, which have their first anniversary after 1 year, it's 6.6 million in the treasury. So it's an additional reserve for the shareholders.
Thank you very much. This concludes the presentation of our preliminary results for 2023. We will now open the floor for questions. As I mentioned at the beginning of this call, if you would like to ask a question, please type it in the chat box. We will then read it out loud and address it. So far, we don't have any questions yet on the chat. However, we have received a set of questions on email prior to this teleconference, so we're going to go ahead and address those first. The first question is, what was the total cost of employees for 2023, excluding the ESOP?
The total cost of employees for the group was RON 211 million.
Thank you. The next question, please provide a breakdown of 2023 depreciation and amortization by IFRS type, IFRS 17, 16, and 15.
So in terms of depreciation and amortization, the impact of the according to IFRS 16, which is treating the rent taking out the rent and recognizing an asset and the liability on the balance sheet and then amortizing the asset over the rent contract periods, it's around 8.7 million. So the impact on the of IFRS 16. Then the other impact, it's coming from the depreciation of the customer relationship, and here the impact on the P&L, it's 9 million. And the rest is normal amortization and depreciation.
Thank you, Bogdan. What is the expected impact of fiscal changes on employee costs in 2024?
As you already mentioned, this will be factored in the budget and presented together with the budget.
Thank you. When do you expect the financials of Infobest to be integrated into the group's consolidated result?
Well, here I guess we need to get the compliance from Direct Foreign Investment that right now we are running, and based on this we'll have a complete closure, and then we can add the result of Infobest to the total group. So we expect probably Q3 to be the one where we can add the consolidated result on Q3 2024.
Thank you. You projected a gross margin of 2 to 8% for the integrated systems, yet the 2023 results show the level of 18%. Do you anticipate maintaining this level going forward?
Yes, as I already mentioned, the 2 to 8% margin was according to the statutory accounting standards. Applying the IFRS and the agent principle, then we have adjusted the revenues and the margin percentage-wise accordingly. So we expect to see similar margin by having together projects where we are prime contractor or projects where we go in consortium and we are only agent for the partners part.
Regarding the outlook, do you still foresee net turnover growing by around 20% per year in the medium term?
Well, that depends, of course, on the market situation, and but we can address this on the budget, actually on the next period. So we'll address that when we'll publish the budget.
Can we expect a recovery of the consolidated EBITDA margin in 2024, or might the fiscal changes related to payroll taxes offset the synergies from the integration of the acquired companies in 2023? Do you have an estimate of the 2024 synergies in millions of lei?
The synergies and the impact of taxes will be presented together with 2024 budget.
Besides integrating the newly acquired companies, what are the main challenges for 2024?
Here we see some challenges, as we saw in the last period of 2023, projects that were kind of sure that were delayed. So we might expect some delays in the market, not knowing the level of uncertainty is still big, especially in the terms of new contracts, new contracted customers. But what we expect for 2024 is to expand actually and get more synergies from the acquired company and increase the customer base. Now, the company that we acquired being part of a bigger group. So we expect some projects, existing project to grow. And the level of uncertainty in the market, it's still big, especially related to the new projects.
Thank you. What would be considered a normalized consolidated EBITDA margin for Arops Group?
Was it
Looking forward, or
no, 2023, I guess.
2023, we already have it.
Yeah.
There is 21%, the normalized, almost 22%, the normalized EBITDA margin.
And the question, I now got the clarification. It means going forward, but we will not be commenting on that. It will be included in the 2024 budget. And the last question from this set is, do you anticipate the integration process in terms of synergies of the acquired companies to be finalized this year, or should it be expected to extend over a longer term?
Well, it's a long process. Actually, it's longer than we imagined when we started the journey of acquiring company. It's an ongoing process. We try to shorten as much as possible, but on the other side, we are working with people, not with machines. And usually that's the biggest challenge, as you might know, because people react somehow. In the product area, though, we were able to, as you saw in the product verticals, we were able to integrate really quick, especially because we kind of have a formula on adding assets to the main company and main supplier. So we still work hard on that, and that is going to happen next year, and definitely we have this year actually, and we actually have kind of a roadmap on that, but we'll publish maybe the synergies on the consolidated on the budget that we are going to present.
Thank you. Now we are moving to the questions on the chat. I would like to kindly remind you to type the questions that you might have for the management in the chat box. Once we answer the existing questions, we might wait 1 more minute, but otherwise we will conclude the call if there are no further questions and everything is clear. So the question on the chat is, on the cost side, can you break out an impact from acquired companies similar to revenues?
We will present this when we will publish the full results. So we will do it with the full results.
Perfect. In this case, as I mentioned, we're gonna wait for 1 minute. In the meantime, I would like to just let you know that on 29th of April, we will be holding the general meeting of the shareholders, the annual meeting of the shareholders, during which the shareholders will be approving, among other things, the budget, as well as the audited financial statements and the board of directors report. Therefore, all of the documents, including the said auditor's report and the budget, will be present at least, will be published on our website at least 30 days before the general meeting of the shareholders. Other than that, the next results call that we are going to hold is going to take place on the next results we're gonna release on 14th of May. These are gonna be the Q1 2024 results, and the next teleconference is going to take place 2 days later on 16th of May. I see that there are no further questions on this call, so we would like to thank you very much for joining us for this teleconference. And as always, you can reach out to us should you have any follow-up questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Bye-bye.